as I mentioned, high school was quite a different picture from primary school. We got rejected from 3 schools. We ended up as a school many miles from home, and it was never our ideal. We moved from that school when Sean was about 6 months into high school. And when we left, Sean had only ever mentioned one boy, a boy called Jake. So on the last day of school, I helped him to write a little note to Jake and saying, thanks for being a friend, we'd like to stay in touch. But I really didn't have any expectation. I had never met Jake. I had no idea who he was. But Jake responded that same afternoon and said, I'm so sad that Sean's leaving the school. And from then on, he had sleepovers and they went mini golf, and they have stayed friends since, they were 12. So I just think something about not underestimating those small tokens of friendship. Now, if he hadn't stayed friends, nothing's lost. It was a card, but I think it's the magic that we don't know when we make explicit the desire for friendship. So it would have been kind of very easy to kind of move on. Anyway, Sean ended up at a high school of 1,400 boys. The first, he knew 4 boys from his primary school, but in a cohort of 250. And started off really well, it was just amazing. And then the exceptional kind of learning support person went away, and we hit 14 and 15. And basically, Sean was really struggling to find his place in that school. So we had lots of meetings where it was told that we were in the wrong place, he needed to be in a special protective place. And I guess anyone who's been through the school system would know that really the way they deal with that is by kind of punishment and consequences, rather than understanding that that was about his desperate need to belong and to have friends. So it's a pretty kind of ugly time. The head of pastoral care confidently declared that Sean has not a single friend, as apparent proof that he was unable to have a friend. It was a Catholic school which had lots of lovely values about the inclusive community and embrace of the marginalised, etc. And interestingly enough, we were quashed, so we kind of knew what was going on, and we asked, couldn't we set up a circle of support for him? Can Sean be involved in these other things that would help him not be seen as a menace and a burden and all of these things? But they were all quashed. I guess what I did from that time is I just really prioritised staying there. We'd already moved school once in kind of high school. I didn't want to move again. This was the school actually that I can see from my back veranda. So even though it was pretty horrible, I actually knew that there were kids that liked Sean in that school. Parents had approached me and said, my son really likes kind of Sean, he's really glad he's here. So I just needed to find out more about who those kids were. So I did tuck shop duty, and I used that as an opportunity to spy and to have conversations with kids and have conversations with teachers. When I was not sure, we invited the whole homeroom for parties in our home, and I kept talking to those teachers who were more open, saying, can you just keep an eye on who Sean likes? And eventually, bit by bit, I paid attention. I found out, who was there. We did have to do a lot of relationship repair, I have to say. So Sean wrote a lot of sorry notes actually during that time. But the lifeline really was that when he joined the rugby program in year 11 and 12, we got permission for him to join. Seriously, we got permission to join the rugby program, and he travelled out by bus to the kind of fields and became, it was a stereotypical, if you like, disability role as the water carrier, but these rugby boys were his tribe, and they are the boys who he's still in touch with to this day. So I'd have to say that the last 18 months were worth all of that pain and suffering, because once the school didn't get rid of us, they actually backed off. And with the boys' maturity and Sean's maturity and his fact that he had friends, all of that stuff kind of just disappeared. So here he is at his school formal, and here he was on his graduation day, which was deeply moving, where he shook everyone's hands, congratulated them and embraced his friends, and was a participant in the war cry. He went to the post-graduation party, one of the things I learned was you have to take risks. So I don't think any parent wants their child to be, at a party of 500 kids, drinking alcohol at the age of 17. But I think the fact that Sean was in those places meant that when those kids were 18 and they were going out clubbing, they knew that that was a place that Sean could be. Does that kind of make sense to you? So I hovered at the McDonald's close to the post-graduation party till 2:30 or 3 in the morning to be there in case there was a need to extract him yeah. So, what I would say, and the other thing that I did, so he went to schoolies and he stayed in a unit kind of with his sister for a little while and with a support worker for a little while, but he went and drank with his friends, and he went to the beach parties. And I do remember I was having my performance appraisal as I got kind of drunken texts from him, I think, basically. So it was one of those things that I thought he had the same right as his sister, to have that kind of rite of passage, if you like. When we left school, the other thing I did is I Facebook messaged the kids who had been his friends, and said, again, made explicit that Sean would like to stay in touch with them. And so that kind of led to lots of, dinner catch-ups, lunch catch-ups, nights out. And when in that year that he left school, when they all turned 18, he started kind of going to this kind of uni pub night on a Thursday night. And again, it was terrifying to see him lining up with 100 young people with his ID. But I thought that was a way for him to maintain those relationships. So we did have some backup plans. We had his kind of sister would, reluctantly agree to be there if he needed to be. She wasn't there physically, but she would, go in if he needed to. But we had some hairy moments, like when he turned off his phone and I was in my pyjamas waiting outside to pick him up, and all worth it in the end.